The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, welcome to the weekly Noyantis Usergroup. Today is the 29th of June 2020 and myself and John are your hosts. As always, if anyone's got any queries or questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'll get the microphones opened and we'll cover the content accordingly. So, what was I going to say there? I've noticed Bill's just mentioned something on Chilkat, which lead me actually into, I always start with updates that have occurred in the last week or so and so on and so forth, or since the last webinar. And yeah, that's just what I'll do now. So Bill, I will come to you in a second and open the microphone. So yes, we've just released a new Chilkat version this morning, version 1.22. And it covers some nice things in the QuickBooks, Xero, and the MYOB accounting system. So basically, just let me find my notes to actually say what they were. Won't be a second. Won't be a sec, folks. Yeah, okay. So let me just quickly show. Oh, there is one of the other things. We're going to cover the Chilkat that's been released, and there's other updates to the Chilkat coming out. Cover those in a second. And immediately after this webinar, and I know I was just joking with John then, John's waiting for an update for the command bars, and immediately after the webinar, I'll be working on the command bars. I'm actually going to stop back late tonight and see if we can get the bulk of a load of changes done. Hence why John wants me to finish the webinar ASAP. So we're not going to go for a marathon one today. We're going to try and go a little shorter. Okay, so the released Chilkat update. It's mainly to do with the accounting system APIs, which we've just enhanced. And if I just run them, I'll connect to, let's say, QuickBooks. I'm going to connect to a couple. I'll just do disconnect because I've just been on that. So what I'll do is I'll connect. That started the OAuth login process. I've already logged in. I'm going to connect to this company here, Sandbox Company 2. And I'm granted access. Okay, and I'm connected. Now, what a lot of people can do, and I've been doing it in our systems, is we can connect to that, query the data, like we could run that and get answers back, or we could go straight to using some of the built-in functions like download all the customers, things like that. Okay, so we can do the actual API queries and so on. But one thing like we're doing there, we're connected to a sandbox company, so it's a test company. And then we can connect to the live companies using different keys, using production keys rather than developer keys and so on, all of which we've covered in previous webinars. But this is it's live in a particular system. It's in a couple of systems actually. And what one of the feedback from the customers was, while they're doing their setup, their support department's doing their setup, making sure things are that all connectivity is working and they're happy, and they can see which company they're connected. Sorry, they know themselves that they're in test company, but they've got no visual indicator to tell them that. So what we've just done is added the ability to each one of these like entities, if you will, customers and employees and sales items. Items, invoices. These are all individual type objects as per the documentation from QuickBooks or MYOB or Xero, that kind of thing. These are all separate objects, and we keep adding to the number of objects that we're actively talking to. So what in this release, what we've done is we've added the ability to query items. So these are basically like your stock items, if you will. Don't necessarily have to be stock. They can be inventory, service, it can be non-inventory items, and so on and so forth. So we've added the ability to be able to query and, of course, insert, change, delete actual items in there in the QuickBooks. We've also, but when we added it to the example, you've got invoices, but you can actually raise estimates, which are basically a bit like they're like a quotation, if you will. And now you can actually create estimates as well. So, and the last but not least is you can actually query the company information. Now this screen, it needs actually updating. I just do this, I'm just in the process of doing that. And we can query it and say that we're in Sandbox 2, which is the company we connected to just a minute ago. Now to better demonstrate how I would do it, I've done it on a 0 example, and you can see straight away it's brought in. I am connected to the demo company, and I'll just prove that. I'll disconnect. I'll reconnect my OAuth connection. It says who am I connecting to, which company data am I going to, so it's Demo Company UK. We can connect to that. Remind me to mention this in a minute. We can actually change this this wording and what happens there. And there, basically, the company. And what we've done is, as well as being able to query that particular object, now in QuickBooks, it's called company info. In 0, it's called organization. But essentially, it's the same thing. It's your company configuration within the accounting system and so on. And you can query that. You can update it as well if you need to, and so on. But what we've got as part of the classes is a group structure called active connection. And that stores the information about the actual current connection. 1, are you actually connected, true or false? And then various pieces of information like what your current access token is, and the physical token, and what the refresh token and its expiry. So we've created a placeholder in there called company name, and that will actually store the company name in it, and so on. So it just comes in handy. We've put it into a couple of like I say, in our products, and when it connects or reconnects and so on, then they can see instantly that what they are actually connected to, because it's not just your developer keys. When you're production, if you as a user can access multiple companies' accounts, which I know I can, my login allows me to get to Noyantis accounts, but also a sister company accounts that we have for our horse racing software. And basically, from one login, you can access different companies' accounts via the OAuth checking login process. So it is pretty important that you actually report back to the user that kind of information, so on. So, oh, Bill, I never opened your mic. Sorry, but that was one of the things. So, Bill, does that answer the question for you, Bill?
No, no, I'm sorry. No, what I was actually looking at was, and I may be wrong. It's been so long since I've dug into this. I actually went and used a third-party product to do what I needed to do. But originally, in order to get the keys, I believe that you had to log in almost every time, and it wasn't as simple as just a username and password. You had to do something where you on QuickBooks, you'd have to log in and then it would return the keys, but those keys weren't good forever.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, it's not necessarily just QuickBooks. I know for yours it was related to QuickBooks. The normal login process for something like OAuth or OAuth 2, as it is, rather than OAuth 1, which all major platforms now have gone to. 0 used to support OAuth 1, and now they've discontinued it for any new connections. So going with OAuth 2, you have to provide it some kind of consumer ID or key and some kind of secret. That goes up, you see the login screen, and at that point it will come to it does directly relate to what you're saying there. But that would initiate some kind of login. Just let me, I'll tell you what, because I'm actually logged in on other sessions, so I'm going to actually close all of those. Let me close that as
Yeah,
well.
I guess I was hoping when I read your post this morning that it was going to solve this problem, but
No,
apparently
this is just a query. It's additional items or objects as they are within the accounting system. So now, as well as doing accounts payable invoices, accounts receivable invoices,
yeah,
and credit
I
notes,
got you. I got you.
you can do
Yeah,
extras
no,
like
yeah,
items.
you don't need to go any further on my question then.
Oh, okay, but
I will email you separately
yep, no
the
problem. You after
that
the to bypass the OAuth, which is a thing that they was mentioning. And I did look into it, but I've just not had the time to fully research it. But what they do, so just finish on the OAuth, which is the OAuth 2. This is us logging in. It's going to ask me to physically log in, hopefully this time. Yeah, so it's going to want me to log in as a user. Thank you. I'll log in as a user, and then it's going to say what data. Now I've only got one company in Xero. I just confirm it and I go in. There are tricks to keeping that active, yeah, very very simple tricks. But that gives you that. But in order for you to do that, you would have to go off into Xero or QuickBooks, as you mentioned, and create an app within their setup, which is the thing you obviously didn't want to do for every one of your customers and so on. Now, that kind of structure is quite common. These the other classes. Oh, was that what I was looking for? Yeah. These kind of classes to log into Google Calendar, so on and so forth, and that would normally have OAuth 2. Now, the reason I mention Google Calendar is in their setup that you can actually go on like at a higher level, if you will, as a user and say, do you know what? I'm equivalent of like a super user. They call it service account. And what that does is you authorize yourself in Google. You create yourself as a service account to do with a particular domain or domains, usually a domain. And that will then give you basically super user privileges. So you can say they give you a special JSON file, which you obviously keep very secure and private. And using the content of that, it enables you to connect and talk to data from emulating any different user. So you really want that at a QuickBooks level. And they do offer that kind of service. They didn't when we first created the QuickBooks class, but I do believe they've done that now, where basically you can, I'm not sure how much rights you have once you are connected, but you can perform certain tasks at that higher level. So you can talk to various different companies all at once via your access, rather than each company having to create a dedicated app within the developer portal. And remember rightly, that's the kind of thing you was after. So I will look into it. It's already on the Clubhouse backlog system which we run. And so on.
Okay, yeah, because that was the one I've got like one guy that does 5 different stores IIF uploads into
Yep.
QuickBooks Online, and it cost me $500 a year for this service, but he doesn't do anything in the background except the first time you set up a store, you got to do the second party authorization.
Yeah.
Where they do the, through the send a text file key or something. But after you've done that, he's basically, it's like he's logged in all the time.
Yeah, and that's keeping the
And he's really
connectivity.
not, but
No, but I know what you mean. It's the equivalent of this. So if we did this is that service account which I mentioned, and this is the user associated with it, and I can log into Google. And using that one account, I'm logged into Google Calendar there, but by the same token, I could go to Google Tasks, use that same one, and I can talk to Google Tasks. So I can talk to any part of Google, emulate it via that, but I don't have to be that user. I could be a .wilton at Noyantis. I could be Joe.blogs at Noyantis, that kind of thing. So basically, that is a really super, super power user file. But you, as you just said, you give yourself kind of authorization within Google. They make you jump through a few hoops. Once you've got that passes that file back to, creates it. You download the file, you keep it very secret, obviously, and then that gives you the rights within a particular organization to go off and emulate any user without having to log in each time. So that's so that's the type of thing. And QuickBooks never did that when they first jumped to OAuth 2 and JSON. Now I believe they do. I know you sent me some links, and it looked very positive. We've just not had a chance to do that yet. So
yeah, I've been using it for over a year, and I've gotten zero phone calls from that customer, and he's doing five stores, one right after the other every day.
So, I mean, the good thing, once you've got the connectivity, and that's half the battle on any of these things. So I can choose, literally, choose any of them. Once you've got the connectivity, they just run. The particular project, which is for one of our customers, and what it does is it takes their software and it talks to multiple different accounting systems all at once. So it's up to the user. User A might be using MYOB, user B might be using Xero, and user C might be using QuickBooks. And we've got another Sage is coming on, Sage 1, because that is also a requirement. But basically, the way we do that is there are ways and means where you configure the software in such a way, and you can also keep that connection alive. So we mentioned here about this refresh token, that's still there and we can refresh it. But just create yourself a little service app. Really doesn't take long. For me, it takes about half an hour to 1 hour tops, less than that. And that just a little service keeps the connectivity open, and that will keep that connection going until June 2021. At which point the user would have to go and re-authenticate. So that's just using what we've got now. So that's really simple to do. But of course, you do need to set up the other side of your connectivity within Xero and within QuickBooks and within the others. So that's you can accomplish quite a lot as it is now. But for QuickBooks, I will have a look at the other bit for you coming up next.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.
No problem. Okie dokie. Any other questions from anyone on the well, I suppose on the accounting bits? So the items we've done are on QuickBooks. We have given you the organization, which of course you've just seen that is downloading, and there's a new methods for that. And for QuickBooks, we've given you the company info, which is the equivalent of the organization for Xero, to give you company info, items like inventory items, and estimates, which are basically quotations and sales estimates, that kind of thing. And for all of them, we've also added we've done some tidy up and enhancements to the actual disconnect methods as well. So when it does disconnect, it was disconnecting you, there was no problem, but there's some tidy ups where it will actually clear some items out and ensure that expiry dates are cleared and so on and so forth. So if you're using any of the accounting type interfaces, I would recommend you do that. Okay, now I've got a question which I'll just go to that, and then we are going to come back to some of the Chilkat, because I've got a question coming in advance from a particular user to do with how you make some of the certain separate elements of the Chilkat class talk to each other. So we're going to cover that in a minute. So I've got two actually. One's Roberto. Okay. So Roberto, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Mine is a very simple call. I just need a kind of a flow view of what happened. I'm entering in the API entry control in the report control in the report control in one of the items. I'm entering a 12.34, a decimal number, but when I made it to the row update, it's only the 1-2. So I'm dropping the decimal. So I figure I'm doing some auto conversion along the way that is shooting me in the foot. So I was wondering what happens between the end. How do I go tracking that? If I'm here at the entry control, what happens in between there and the time that I get to row update?
Okay. On that, I would say hang fire. I know it's easier said than done when you're on a project, but it's something that we've been made aware of probably in this last week, ish. Yeah. What we're finding in a report control, and it's to do with decimals and the edit in place. For example, if we did 12.345, it would take it. It would save the decimal, and I'd get 12.345. But then if I did 12.34, then I would get that as the value. Nothing wrong with that, that's perfectly fine. If I try going back to 3 decimal places after that, so back to 0.345, it wouldn't take it. It would only take the first 2 decimal places. So what we're finding is, and I don't know, I haven't a clue why, but it's taking whatever decimal places it's got at the outset is kind of the maximum it's going to allow you to go to afterwards, which is absolutely crazy. There's no reason for that via the control or via the code. So I don't know, it's some kind of trimming, some kind of formatting, but something is going to drift on that. So hang fire because it's something that's been raised and we're looking into.
All right. In other words, I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy. You're not crazy, and I don't want you going wasting hours and hours on it because it's going to be pointless because it's something Yeah.
So basically, I have some non-decimal places. I have some longs and I have some decimals in there, and it's taking the long, which has no decimal places, and saying, okay, that's my default. Okay.
Yeah, it's something like this to do with the entry. Our test was, like I say, 12.345. It accepted, and we then actioned it with some exchange rates and so on. Yeah, that's fine. Then we did a 12.34, and it would take that. And then if we went back into edit in place mode and tried to put it back to 12.345, it wouldn't. It would only go to the 0.12. And I couldn't believe it when it was reported to us. I did some preliminary debug. And yeah, it's doing that. I haven't a clue why. Really strange.
I understand.
It's going to be something stupid.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. I have no clue why. I run into that often. So yes, thank you, sir. At least I'm not crazy, so I can go and I will spend a little bit of time looking at it to see if I can find anything. But I will continue. This what I'm doing is very large and it's got a lot of pieces, and that's just one of the ones that it was giving me grief. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I will get something to you ASAP. It probably won't be this week though, because we've got so much on this week. But it is there, and it is obviously a bug, so it's a urgency, if you will.
All right, thank you, sir.
No problem. Right, just 1 second. Okay. Okie dokie. Okay, you've got your hand up. I'm not sure how I pronounce it, so I'm just going to open your microphone. Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. So, how do I pronounce your name? So I'd like to.
Chunyuan. Chunyuan.
Chunyuan?
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's better than hi. So, how come I help?
Yeah. So is there a way to how to set the size of the items inside the task panel? So we have task panel, we have lists, we have one list and 2 strings. But it looks like there's still space, below those controls. We cannot set up that to extend the list to occupy extra space. I mean,
let me have a quick look. So task panel.
Yeah.
You're using In the items using Clarion controls, I take it.
Right. Yeah. It's Clarion control. Looks like it's the it automatically assign the position or something to set up those controls where it.
Just one second. 1631. Cancelled. Okay, so there.
Yeah, we have a same set. Yeah, like list and you see there's still space below that button. So yeah.
Sorry, whereabouts is the space? Which space are we talking? Because that's
under the progress bar. You see that still is there a way we can just increase? We won't give a list more height.
I think it'll just take it. I think the list will take the because it's an attached control. Not that one. Sorry.
Looks like it doesn't matter what the size you specify in that control. It will. The task panel automatically can handle those.
Okay, so there's our list.
Let
me just. Okay, so we made our list bigger. And now the list is bigger. So it basically, because it's what it's actually doing is grabbing the handle of the content. So it might be a Clarion list. It could be another code job control, like a report control or a calendar, a date picker. But basically, it gets the handle of a control, and it puts that handle in as that particular item. So because it's just taken the handle, it's gonna all the settings and the properties of that entity is still going to be active.
So okay, like you have okay, I see that for list, but maybe we have something to do on the list, but under that, like you have a radio control, button control. Those are we have if we those are if we have a string, we have some string to show the message. So can we set?
Oh, sorry, I've lost you there. I'm not hearing you.
Not hearing me?
No. You said about the radio control. You said we have, but that's all I got.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So instead of those drop down, we have a couple of string controls in this position.
String controls. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, string. So can we specify a position and not just it's too close to the controls above it?
Well, you can do the margins of your actual control. So let's take
only is using margin. Okay, yeah. I did see the margins.
Let me see if we can space those 4 items out. Okay. So it doesn't matter where they are positioned on the screen, because it will move them into its own control. So for example, I could make these. Sorry, that's that. I can make them like that. Compile. It's not going to bother about that because they are just all we've done is just change the position on the screen, and then this is going to actually override them. So there they are, all back again. Now what we can do is change other characteristics on the screen. For example, you just saw that height a minute ago, and we should be able to change other properties. Let's try its font like so. bold for that one. Okay, so something like that. Oh, sorry, wrong one. And there's our value 1. So so you can change those as you can on a Clarion control, but then the position that the task panel is in charge of that. So we'll go to our radio. There's our 4 items, and we've said that they are a control. Okay, and
use the margins.
There's a control. So you've got margins here. So if we said, let's make that one, we'll have all of them 15 at the bottom.
Okay, actually, we don't use it. Doesn't use like Y position. Yeah, something.
It's like a mixture. Some attributes are coming from the Clarion control itself, but the positioning of it comes from the control. So now we've got a bigger gap.
Oh, 15. Yeah, increase.
Does that help?
Yeah, I help. I think I need to adjust. Yeah, doesn't work. So for the pen, we have multiple pens in a window, in main window. So if I drag out of the parent window, that pen should be resizable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but our pen, I don't know what's the reason, it doesn't resizable. You cannot resize the window. I check your example, they are resizable, but
I say they should be. If I put that to resizable, and we'll even put a resize template on there. Not that we need to, but
I don't know if related to where there is Clarion. Yeah, there's the ABC resizer, but there is another resizer we are using.
We support Mike Hansen Super Resize, and also Capesoft Easy Resize and Split.
Yeah, we use a Capesoft MH resize.
Now, the control should resize accordingly. So it should be no. It really comes down to your settings.
I compared all settings same as your example. No difference. Only difference is different resizer. But you're using the ABC. Is that right?
Well, you don't actually have to have a resizer, but let me change that one then. And let's put on easy resize, you say? Oh, no, not that one.
Do you have a MH, the Capesoft? Yeah.
Capesoft, okay, so we put that on. And on here. Easy resize. We want it to grow proportionally. That's the main thing. Ooh. I don't know what's happened. Just one second. I don't know what's happened to that thing. Let me just check any settings or anything like that. What's gone on with that window there? don't think there was any other settings to do, was there? Dots. All pretty straightforward. I haven't a clue what's going on with the window here, but it's gone off the actual screen.
Yeah.
Pass on that, I'll be honest.
ABC's resizer.
Don't think that's the easy to resize because it is a newer. No, it's not a newer version. Yeah, no, that's not a newer version. But that should still work actually. I'll just try it on a simple window. Okay, so just a simple window. Define it that way. Want it to be resizable, and the easy resize on it. Yeah, fine.
That works.
Okay.
Let's set up. Okay.
Okay, that's good. I don't know what's on with that other window. Pass. But yeah, so basically with that resizing, it should just work. Should just do its job. Tell you what, I'll probably add on the other window. Wonder if that was set to 0, 0 and full height. No, still looks fine. Yeah, pass. But yeah, I was going to say it should work with the resizing and with mics as well. I'm just going to turn it off so we can get back to it.
So which resizer doesn't matter?
No, it shouldn't matter. No, there's only 3 popular ones that I can think of, and we support all of them. So just to recap, when using a Clarion control or a CodeJot control, because of course it could be a different thing here. We could let's just put a calendar in there. And date picker. Definitely don't want the date picker to be that big. Something like.
Is this window a pen?
This window, sorry.
Is this the window a pen? A docking pen? No.
No. So I've got a calendar there, date picker. Going to go into here, create ourselves a new group. Calendar. And in there we'll have our date picker. And it's going to be a control, and it's going to be the day picker, and that was going to be I think it's that. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong. I've just selected the wrong thing. That's not right. Yeah, it's not that at all. Just bear with us 1 second. Yeah. No, sorry about that. Let me just. Yep. And without external DOS. What? Yeah, okay. I presume that's something to do with easy resize. Okay. You can see here now. Oh, yeah, that's not a region. So now, basically, it will take on the settings of its screen. So it's irrelevant of whether it's a Clarion control, like so, or the like these, or whether it's an actual another control. It will take on the settings of how you've drawn it on the screen.
Okay, so what we have is we have docking panes inside a main window. So we drag a docking pane out of the main parent window. So it should be a resize.
Well, I'm going to say that's fine. You could technically put this window here. You could put this. Oh, my windows have just disappeared. Sorry. You could put that window as docking pane content, which is probably what you've got. So that's no problem. Yeah. But you've got to get the resizing. Oh, that handle wants to do that. Interesting.
Maybe that's because.
Oh, that region. Should put it under the region.
Control strategy is not set, right?
Yeah. But basically, yeah, as long as you've got the resizing done on the window itself, the docking pane will just basically pass that message on. So it's a docked window. It will receive messages to say go and resize and so on and so forth, just like the user has resized the window. So it should be no different.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Okay, so.
Good. Okay, and then last but not least, we have got Mark. So Mark, I'm just going to come to yourself. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Yes, good. Yourself?
Good, thank you. Yeah, the question was related to, I do have the Chilkat. I haven't got that on my project list yet, but I do want to interface my application with all three of those financial systems. And I like every time I see it, there's more and more improvements. So my specific question is, could you just highlight how, when I do get to it, should I look at interfacing those transactions that are coming down with my system, and then interfaces changes with my system to push them back up? Something at a very high level.
Okay, so there's one crucial bit here which we'll just cover. You're going to have different tables and so on. So for an example, for another customer, just working on their system last week with them, and they've got basically their own system. It's a manufacturing type system, and they want to talk to QuickBooks, and they might potentially want to talk to something different in the future. So what they're asking is exactly what you're asking now, and it'll be the same question somebody will ask next week and the week after. They're all very, very similar type questions. So from a design point of view, most objects that we'll look at, most APIs, I should say, and I'm probably going to go with QuickBooks because we've just got more objects wrapped up to take a look at.
Right.
So in the example, zero's got just as many and so on and so forth. Now, you get this ID and secret connectivity, and you'll get something similar with the likes of Google and Dropbox and every API you're really going to talk to nowadays, that kind of thing. And then from there, all their type of interfaces are the same. So let's just take a customer, and I'm going to go into the same demo company in QuickBooks Online. We're going to company 2. UK 2. Okay, so I'm going to keep bringing this back in and out, if you will, so we can see what's going on, both from a data design point of view and a data flow, if you will. So go down to customers, and there's a list of customers he's got.
Right.
In QuickBooks, and again, this could be files in Dropbox, it could be events in the calendar, it could be all sorts, but they all take the same type of approach. So I'm going to download, and there's my 53, and here they are. In fact, let me just pull that across and pull this across. In fact, I'll just do that so I can keep going to it on the other monitor. So there's Bayside, and there's Bayside. Now, they're going to have some kind of ID. Now, that ID happens to be a 67. Most companies will use something like a GUID, but they're using a number. It's irrelevant. So you're going to have to store per entity some kind of ID. I would personally have it as something like a C-string 101. Okay. Because that just gives you more than enough. You could go smaller. If you know it's QuickBooks and you know it's going to be numeric. If you want to allow your design to talk to multiple different things, then definitely allow up to the 50, 60 character, because the minimum you're going to have is like a 32 character or 36 GUID coming back for some of the others. So you might be able to trim it back, but I, just for ease of sake, give it something like 100 characters, hypothetically. Yeah. So that's the ID. Now, if I was to change this here, and the sync token is the equivalent of like a revision, if you will. So we're going to go to here. Going to change it. Oh, don't say I've not got that. Or do we need to do it in 0? We've got a better example in there. Give me 1 second. I thought I fixed it in that example. Right, we're connected. Right, that's that. I'm going to we'll go here. Let's just download our contacts. Oh, no, sorry about that. Jump back. Won't use that. I'll use something different. Doesn't really matter. A general ledger account. Right, let's use that. Thank you very much. We've got 82 accounts. And going to my development, QuickBooks, and I'll go to our chart of accounts. I'll say accounting, chart of accounts. And we've got, as we can see there, we should have accumulated depreciation. There should be one in here called accumulated. Looks like it's that one. Yeah, accumulated depreciation ABC. Now I'm going to go on to that. I'm going to change it. So the thing we're going to keep an eye on is that is number 3. Its ID is 3 via the API, and its token is 5. I'm just going to go to this. I'm going to say dash mark. Oh, no, wrong one. Okay. Now what's happened there? Our 3 still static, 6. That's now been increased. And if we go and refresh our QuickBooks, accumulated, there, it's mark. Okay.
Right.
So what's actually happened there is, if you're going to do an update, so from a design point of view, you're going to want 2 entities. One is some kind of ID, and one is the revision. What goes, and they go hand in hand, if you will.
Right.
Okay. Now, if I ever do a change, I always do a download, which first. So we'll look at that code in a second. What that does is, I'm looking at 3 and 6 there. I could go here now, edit that. Oh, crikey, no, let's not change that. Edit that, and I'll just put mark 2 on there. Now, if I was to go and do a change and offer it up as 3, 6, it would fail, because it would be the equivalent of user change by another, by another user, a record change by another user. I think it's like a Clarion error 35 or something like that. But if you do a download first, or like download the selected, what it does is it brings down the very latest version of it, lets you do the change, and pushes it up. Okay.
Okay.
So that is done automatic. So just what in the example is done automatic. I'll make it so it doesn't, and you'll see the actual error. So there's that. So now that truly is number 8. We just haven't refreshed. I'll do a change. It's brought it down and updated it to 8, and so on. So that's that. Now in that code, I'm going to get it so it doesn't do the download. So I'll show you the code. Same approach. This is QuickBooks, Xero, Google Events. It's just APIs. So you always take this type of approach, and you really can't go far wrong. Famous last words.
Yeah.
So we've got our queue. We go and get the entity out of the queue, and then I'll re-download it into a group, because we've got to prime up a group, because that's what we're going to be changing, the group structure. The group is the thing what's automatically. There is accounts. That's queue. LG, local group. There you go, LG. And it's based on our account group. So we download, it puts the answer in there, and we're telling it which record. Then we go off and change, then we push, basically we'll go and change it on the screen, and then we do an update and push that group back up again with the updated information. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out that if. Okay, so it's not going to download. And watch what happens. Same test as we did a minute ago. And it'll work first time, but then I'm going to change it externally, and I'm not going to re-download locally, and I'm going to try and change it locally. So both revisions, basically the revision will be out. So yeah, into here, onto our accounts, 82, there's mark depreciation. Oh, didn't do the download, obviously. I'm taking it out. What I need to do there then is, just because I just cleared it, what I need to do there is LG account equals our LQ account. Okay, so we've got our content. Okay, onto the change, got our content, we're going to change that to 4, and that should take it, because we've got the latest version, 8. Going to push it up, gone to 9. Look at our accounting here, and it's 4. That's correct.
Right.
Okie dokie. Now, I'm going to change it up here. I'm going to say, 16:59 local time, so I know it's changed then. Okay. 16:59. That's great. Now, if I try and push up here now, I'm not going to have the latest. I'm still looking at the old one. That revision is truly 10 behind the scenes. From an API point of view, that's 10. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say that is now 1700. I'll wait for 1700 a minute. I'll try and press OK, and that's going to fail. And it's going to basically give me an error of this has been changed elsewhere. It's not on another workstation because it could be anywhere in the world. But the point being is something else has gone and changed it, and you're trying to change an old record now. And so on. So just waiting for that. It doesn't really matter. I'll press OK. We're going to get an error anyway. And there it is.
Yeah.
They are the state object error. You and Andy Wilton, because I'm logged in both places, are working on this at the same time. Andy finished before you, so you're not going to get saved.
Right.
It's a nice way of them saying tough. So so the principles I wanted to get across is with your record structures, allow for an ID and a sync token. Or
right. Let me ask you a question. Go back to that the QuickBooks browse that you're showing. So I'm kind of still really from an old school with the way that I design my system. I like to kind of batch things together because it's a medical claims and I keep track of batches. So I want to think about these accounting transactions in that same mindset.
Yep. Okay.
This browse list, which is updated from what you brought down, could this just be their button be export? So it exports it to a text file, CSV file or something, or to another, because this is not a table that's being brought down. This is just
I wouldn't have that in my system. This is nothing more than this is a demo app for for demonstration purposes. I wouldn't have that in the system. No, what I would have is if you can still put a Clarion list on the screen, but I'd have it looking a hell of a lot nicer than this. I'll be honest. Personally, obviously, I like the report controls, so I would be bringing these down into a report control and, like you say, having them in batches and so on and so forth, which is exactly how you would look at them here. So if we looked, got rid of that and so on, and you probably group them by the type. So revenue, expense, that kind of thing. Yeah. No, it's not letting me. Come on. Yeah, tangible assets, other income, revenue, that kind of thing. So I would put them in a report control. But the main thing you've got to do is just get the data down first. You've seen how simple it is. It's define your local queue or your group based on our structures, and then just call the download function, and hey presto, you'll have all the answers brought locally to you.
You have.
You could put them in a list there. I'm not going to do it to that example because I'm using that. Just let me show you what you could do. And this is just from the from that. Sorry, just 1 second. I know what I mean. Do we have the type in there?
We do. Because the way that the customers to me are patients and the invoices are claims. Those are like my primary two things I want to start. Then deal with payments. How did an insurance company make a payment to the doctor that post it? But the first is
I'll tell you what. I'll just take a side copy of this. Give me 2 seconds, and we'll open it up elsewhere. So literally two seconds. Okay, that will do. Now I can open it. But you got the report control, if I remember rightly, do you?
Right. Yeah, I got that now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
so I'm just going to put in the report control. And there's our QuickBooks we're using then. So I'm going to add an extension, and it's going to be ReportControl List Enhancer. Why has it just gone slow now? We're on a webinar. Okay, the list wants to be our list account, which we just said a second ago. That's all very good. Kind of happy at that. I'll just rename that, so accounts. And what I'll probably need to do is on that download, download accounts all. So we'll have our accounts. Not so much bothered about that. It can be rc accounts dot list sync. I think it's sync contents. Yeah, something's missing off that. Won't be a second. Typical. We own products, I can't remember them. Yeah, what's just called completion? We're showing us. It was sync rows with no progress bar and refresh. Sync rows, progress bar. It's not optional. I have to press a 0 to it. Need to change that. It should be optional.
This will probably be helpful for me to. This will be the first time I use that report.
Well, that's only using the list enhancer, but still, I'm going to do download all. Hang on a second. With its that list. You shouldn't have to do that. I'm wondering whether the last changes. Sorry about this. We're kind of digressing off what you wanted from the Chilkat.
Okay.
I can always cover that next week. Just going through all off to log us in. Won't be a sec. Yeah, I've got a connection. I think I will set something up. I'm going to take that off that screen. Can I kind of digress? Sorry about that, Mark.
It's okay.
That we will cover next week for you. But back to the Chilkat, because that's the main thing we're on here for.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
So yeah, this green IO. The main thing I want from here is you're going to need a queue with these default structures built for you to bring the data down. Queue for multiple records, obviously. The group for when you wanted to bring down just one record and potentially doing an update of that one record like these.
Right.
So on. Now, how you present them, yeah, I'll sort out the report control example, but yeah, I would present them much, in much nicer format and so on, more making it look more web-like, if you will. Options up to you, how you really feel, and so on, how you want it to look. From a design point of view, on your tables, you're going to need an ID. You're going to need a token. If I was to run, there's that raw select company currency, and you can see what comes down. And we can see these are the IDs it's bringing back, and they're the sync tokens. So this is actually what's going on underneath the surface. And if we were to look at a similar one from the zero accounting, okay, and I do that, thank you. Then you can see basically in the contacts here, that doesn't use a number, it uses a GUID. Okay, and for its revision, it doesn't have just a revision number like the other. What it has instead is an updated date UTC. Hence why I think, I would allow you, depending on if you want to make yourself really future-proof and you've got the spare characters in your database, so to speak, I would probably definitely store the revision as something like a C string 101 to give you enough space. But if you, on your tables, I would have probably three things, depending on how you're doing your updates. You always want some kind of ID, as you can see there, like so. You're always going to want some kind of revision, like so. And I probably would have some kind of status on there, maybe related directly to it or in another record, another table or something, but basically some kind of sync status. So when you're pushing data up, if it doesn't go up for whatever reason, and this could be business logic what's stopping the update. For example, in QuickBooks, you try and push up a customer with a website that doesn't start with HTTP, and it will give you a business logic error, and it will reject the update, and so on. So you might want to report that back to the user, but they might not catch it on the screen. It might be off in a process, or it might be a hidden window or doing your synchronizing for you. So you're going to need to report that back to the user somewhere else. So you're going to need to store that answer you get back. Hopefully it's nice and successful, but it could be an error, like you saw a minute ago, 2 users changing the same record, things like that.
Yeah, looks good. Thank you.
So you're going to need 3 pieces of information on each one of your tables you want to do syncing with, and then you're going to want, what was the other? 3 pieces of information. I forgot. I was just going to say it. I forgot. And then on top of all that, you're going to need somewhere where you can store your connectivity information. So your consumer key and secret, or your ID and secret, and the actual access tokens, refresh tokens, and their expiry dates. Yeah, you're going to want those as well.
Okay, looks good. Thank you.
No problem. Now, while we're on Chilkat, new user here, Paul. Hi, Paul. You got a microphone?
Yeah, I got. Yeah. Hello.
Okay. Hi. Good to speak with you. Glad you can make it. So basically, what I wanted to cover here is what we're seeing there. Some of the options of the task classes. Now, I know you're going to get your hands dirty in to do with the base classes. So it's only fair I give you some grounding, but this is good for everybody, by the way. Some grounding on basically how all the base classes work together. The task classes shield you quite a lot because you've seen what we've been doing here. Nice and simple. We call connect method, and that goes and does the connection. But what it's truly doing is making use of the REST base class, the JSON base class. Oh, crikey, I'd have to have a look. Oh, the OAuth2 base class. There's probably 3 or 4 different. Oh, the socket base class is probably making use of 5 different base classes. If I think you're wanting to talk to Azure Storage, is it correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll give you some pointers here. And if you run into any problems, that's no problem. What I'll do is we'll put an example together for you, and we'll just add it to the base classes here, and we'll just have an Azure base class.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to just show you, here's something I started doing an IMAP example, and it'll look a bit boring, but what it's just done here is it's connected to an IMAP email server, queried, there's 3 emails, and then it actually just is reading those emails. And it's getting me some attachments from those emails and downloading them. You don't see it because the emails are, from the communications point of view, a lot of communications is it's all done in the background, and then we use our own tools to present that data. But what that's doing is it's not a task class. It will be. So don't anyone want an email? Don't worry, you're not going to have to do all this work. It's going to you're going to have a nice shiny task class for you. But I'm going to show you some of the work of the base class and how they all talk together. So let's go to this. Some of the code's going to look a bit scruffy. It's a work in progress. You guys don't normally get to see this, so please excuse me. And I'm just going to go into, bring up the Chilkat documentation. Now you'll be looking at something like this, the Azure storage, I take it, or maybe the SAS.
I had a brief look, yeah.
And you can see, they're just properties. So I don't know if it's going to be that, or the Active Directory. Let's go back to that. What's my mouse doing? What about this? My mouse is playing up. What the? Onto here. Thank you. Okay, we can see some methods here. These are really the kind of things I wanted to go into. Maybe this SAS. String. Trying to see something which wants a particular parameter. All these are nice and easy, which could be, good news for yourself. I believe no methods. I'll go with the IMAP, and you'll see the approach on the point I'm trying to make. It's okay. I'm just going to jump to one of these, and let's just say it's hypothetical. They're perfect. Append mail. Okay, it takes a string, basically as a mailbox, so that's no problem. We all know how to work a string, and then it takes an email parameter, and that email parameter is an actual other Chilkat object. So what you need to do there is, we would naturally, if we was appending a mail, we would prepare the Chilkat mail object. So let's just open up a Chilkat mail, which is just the same as an IMAP. It's got all the properties and methods and so on and so forth. We would prepare that and pass that as an actual object. And let me show you some of the things in here. So what have we got? Just going to turn off the screen 1 second, just in case I've got passwords in here. Won't be 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so what we can see here is I started with the IMAP property, the IMAP base class. So this was our IMAP, and I set some properties. So I set 2 properties, one called SSL, one called port, and here it says we should have those properties. This is the IMAP I'm on, is it? I think it was. Yeah, IMAP. There's the There's port property, there's the SSL property. So it's very simple. Set property, name the property you want to do, and its value. Okie dokie. Now here we want to call one of its methods, and we want to call it, the method's called connect. So I'm going to go down to its methods. There's connect, and it's just going to say what domain we want to connect to. Now, if it's going to return something, we want to call OCX direct value. That's going to execute the command and give you a value back. If it wasn't going to give you a value back, then we could just do OCX direct command. So the opposite would be command. That would still execute the command, it just wouldn't give you the answer back.
Okay.
Okay, so according to our documentation, we do want to get a true or false back. So basically, I'm just going to say, okay, I've got a connection. Brilliant, that's nice and simple so far. Next one we're going to call is a login. So we're going to call the login method. So we scroll down. Nice and simple so far, nice easy parameters, string and string. Nothing new there, that's all good. There's our login, and another one to select a mailbox. That's great. We're even going to get a property. We're going to query at that point and say, how many messages have we got? Oh, the login takes a couple of parameters, you can see. So it takes that parameter and another parameter. All nice and simple. Got a property, that's great. Number of messages, and we'll be able to go off and fetch these particular items back. So far, so good. What I wanted to get to is where we have to prepare an item and use the get object. Don't say this example doesn't have it. No, it doesn't. Oh, that's a pity. Let me just do another embed for you, and I'll show you how I would do something. Okay, so onto here, and I want to, if I was creating an email, we saw a thing before of append mail. Hypothetically, let's go with that. Okay, so we're going to have a CK email object, and there's our email object. So I would, at that point, we go to our extension. We'd have done this prior. We say what base classes we're going to make use of. So we said we're going to make use of that. We're going to make use of email, hypothetically. So that's going to be called CK email, or if you call it anything you like, I might call it email object. Okay, and the other bits, we've got IMAP, so on and so forth. So in our, what I would do is, I know I've got my email object, brilliant. And let's have a look at what we wanted to do in our email. So we're going to start preparing our email object. So maybe we're going to these methods, just looking, their methods, know the properties I wanted, but I would do the clear first. So let's clear it, so it's good housekeeping. Clear, now you do have to call it clear contents. All of the methods do match the Chilkat methods, with the exception of clear, and that clear is a reserved word in Clarion. So I always call it clear contents instead. That's the only exception we have to do. So I've cleared that. Then I'm going to do something like set property, and I'm just going to prepare an email. So along the lines of subject and from. We're not going to actually do this, so it's going to be something like subject hello from Noyantis, that kind of thing. And it could be, is it the from address? I don't profess to know these. Yeah, from address. From address, and it could be now, point being, at this moment in time, our email object has actually been prepared for us. We've cleared its content, and we've set a couple of properties of what we want. And we could go off and set many other properties of it. so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to go back to our IMAP, and I wanted to, if I wanted to do the append mail, or append doesn't seem right really. I'm going to say something like create email. Is there a create? No? Okay. We'll just do the append just for example. So what the point being is we want to get that. So I'm going to say, okay, CK IMAP, which happens to be the class name, which I chose in the extensions. Append mail. The first parameter is a string, which is mailbox. So it could be append mail to outbox. Oh my days, all fingers and thumbs today. To that mailbox, and then it wants, now according to their documentation, it wants the Chilkat object, which is that class. So all you do is when you see something when it says it wants a particular other object to its own, like a Chilkat email, or there could be others, we just go to your email, you go to your class name and do get object. And that's it. That would then transfer all of that object in one go into that IMAP class.
Okay.
And really, that is the whole principle. Just to show you that, let's bring in just some of, could be any of it. The QuickBooks, we saw plenty of that before. TK Task QuickBooks. And we looked at the update account. Now we just called update account, nice and easy, and so on. And we had a group prepared for us. What that's going to do is, it's making sense. It's making use of other objects, just like we've just done there with an IMAP class and an email class. And this basically, if anything really warrants this. So if you think you look at this as zero and you go, Andy, this, there's lots of little bits to do. It really could do a task class. Let us know, and I'll create a task class for it. The task classes are mainly reserved for things which are big APIs like Google and QuickBooks and Xero, or things that do require lots of little niggly bits of work to get them all to work together. And so we create a task class to take all that work away, and so on. That's the idea behind them. But just to show you the passing of the objects in this, it does plenty of prep work. So it's got a JSON object, it clears that. It's got two string builder objects. One is a request, that's what's going to go up to the to QuickBooks, and that's where the answer is going to come back in the response. So we do our housekeeping, we clear those. It's making use of the REST class, so it prepares the REST class for what it needs to prepare. It's calling the methods, add parameters, so on and so forth. So you can see here, it's just the JSON's being prepared for what's going to go up. It's really where we start to do the get objects. So now what we do is we've prepared a whole data packet in JSON to go up to QuickBooks. So we need to pass that from the JSON into our request, and we do it via the emit. So you can see here, we've got go to the JSON class and emit it to a string builder object, and the string builder object happens to be just like we had a minute ago with a get object, that the string builder request get object. So now we've transferred everything from JSON into the request object. That's rather nice. We go to our REST, we call in one of their methods, which is full request string builder, and it takes the parameter of the path. That's quite easy, and two other parameters. One is the string builder request, and one is where it's going to put the answer to you afterwards. So we pass it the request via the get object. So we've taken the data from JSON, moved it into a string builder request via the get object. Now we've moved that into the REST class via, again, the get object. And it's going to put the answer into our response string builder. And then once that's occurred and it's done its job, we actually reverse it and we go, okay, we've got our error code all good. We are sorry, that's if we have got no. That's if we have got that. No, it's the opposite. If we are good, then basically what we do is then we clear out our JSON, and we're going to then load the data into our JSON because it's nice and easy to work with from the response. So again, we're using the get object, and that's the whole point I wanted to get across to you. I know it sounds like I'm making long wind of it, but that's the whole point. It's using that get object. That's how you relate it back to lots of these things in here. So where you're on any of these, I'll just choose, let's choose go up and down. They're just returning you an object. It's more where we're passing an object. There we go. There's another one. I don't even know this one. Copy multiple async for asynchronous. It's going to take a message set, which is another object. So ultimately, what you're going to do is you're going to prepare various messages in various content in a message set, and then call that and pass that via the get object, and that's it.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that should give me a start.
He should do, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
The offer
it
is
just looks a bit overwhelming at first, when you see it, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's there's me saying, it's nice and simple, but genuinely, if we just break it down, so you ultimately working towards. If I go back to that, we're ultimately working towards doing a full request. And the SB is a good one for the REST class. So we're ultimately working to that, which means we're going to need a path. That's no problem. We can build a path. Then we're going to need two objects, two string builder objects, one to handle the request and one to handle a response. So I have them declared and so on. First thing I do is then take a step back and I go, okay, they need preparing. So I'm going to clear them both. I know nothing, the comms won't work because they've got no content, but at least I know from a compile point of view that would work. Then I start to prepare the information into that. So it's a case of, okay, and what format does the API want the information in? And it's a JSON. So the obvious one is I need a JSON object. So I start building up the JSON, and then I use the JSON command to push it from the JSON over to the string builder. So it's just building up separate objects for their content. So we build up an email with all of its characteristics, and then we pass it in one go across to this to the IMAP class. And that IMAP class would then go off and pass it to whatever it needed to in order to be able to go and do synchronization and so on and so forth. So really, it's just bite sizes. That's the key.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give it a go. I'm sure you'll be hearing a bit from me.
I'm around. That's no problem. And if we do run into, if it gets overly complicated, then we can look at adding another base class object. Example, another base class example to the demo app, because it's all good practice in there. And if it becomes where you're not just using one base class, but you're using a whole multiple of many base classes, then maybe a task class is required. We've got a few on there, and we're adding to them all the time. There's actually 3 in dev at the moment: DocuSign, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom meetings. So they're the 3 what's currently in dev.
Okay.
So, and they'll follow a very similar approach to everything you've got here. Even like to the Google connect and disconnect, the download, the update. Once you've learned kind of one task class, you've kind of learned them all.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good luck.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. And then last but not least, Alex. But we have got to start wrapping up because we're not going over time today, even though we're technically 3 minutes over time. Alex, hand up.
Yeah, hi, Andy. Just a couple questions. The first is the issue with the tooltip. So I'm running my command bars on my computer, and there's another developer that we have that runs it, and it's fine. But when we run them by remoting to servers on AWS, these are 2016 servers, Windows 2016. Everything works. The command bars from the OCX, everything works, but tooltips don't come up. I was just wondering if you've heard of anything like that, or if you have any idea is there something missing, or what could cause something like that? And I could, if you want me to drive real quick, I have everything set up to show that to you if that's necessary.
Yeah, although yeah, let's have a quick look. Over to yourself.
All right. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So right now I'm remoting into my work PC, just a regular Windows 10 machine, and the same application. Can you see the tooltips?
Yep.
All right. Now I'm remoting on Amazon AWS a Windows 2016 server, which is running basically the same software, and I had this up and everything. It like kicked me out. I'm sorry. 1 second. All right. Same software. Everything's the same. As you see the command bar, everything works, but there's no tooltips. They didn't show up. Now, other parts of the program, like regular Clarion control tooltips, they work. But in this command bar, tooltips don't work. Again, and this is on all, this has we've noticed on all the 2016 servers in AWS, which is, the clients running, their tooltips don't show. But on regular machines, it does. So I was just wondering if you know anything about that.
No, I've got a 20. It's not on AWS, but I have got a local 2016 server here and a 2019 server here as well. So I'm going to try. I'm just going to make a note here, but I won't be able to try it now.
One thing, when you try, can you remote it? Because one thing.
I was just going to say, but I'm going to remote. I'm going to have the program on there, but I'm going to RDP onto it, just like you're doing. But it won't be Amazon. It'll just be on my network here. But it shouldn't be irrelevant whether it's next door or whether it's 1,000 miles away. It's kind of irrelevant. It's still going through the same technology. So basically, we'll take the Amazon thing out of the setup, if you will, and we'll just run it just with a 2016 and a 2019 here, and I'll see if the tooltips come up. It's not something I'm aware of. It's not something I've ever tested for, though, to be honest, either, because the tooltips either work or they don't. So whether it's a tooltip through via an RDP, I'm not sure.
Yeah, see, we went live with beta, and these are just the things that people are complaining about that we're finding out, because I never, I did the tooltips and they worked, and but
yeah, I would have taken it for granted, to be fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're in good company, but I can check them here. So at least we can. It won't be AWS, but at least we can check it in a similar type setup and eliminate all the other.
Great. Is that something you can get back to me on, like an email?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I don't know if you've got before, I'm doing some work on the command bars straight after this. I'm amazed John hasn't jumped on, because John's waiting for an update on the command bars. Amazing John hasn't jumped on and just cut the connection to us all, because he wants me on the command bar. So I'm doing that straight after this. I'm going to basically make myself a cuppa and jump straight on with it. At the end of that, it might be late tonight, it might be tomorrow when I do it, but I'll just get the example app and I'll just copy it over to the server and just run it via an RDP.
Sure,
so
yeah.
It's basically, again, so it's a nice, easy test to quickly answer you on. If I get a chance while I'm doing some dev here tonight, I'll do it. If not, just remind me tomorrow and I'll just do the test while you're there.
Okay, just so these are the command bars. There's a controls on the command bar I've put on, and then check the override default tooltip, and then typed in my own tooltip.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's the kind they are.
Yeah, I would do the override, so I know exactly what I'm expecting, that kind of thing.
All right, and one more question, and again, I know that I'm not holding you to it or anything, but I just wanted to know, do you have any, can you give us a hint of when you think the command bars might be coming out, the big command bars release?
I would hope. Well, I'm going to get John will have a beta this week. If you want the beta at the same time, then let's do that. How's that sound?
I would like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no problem. Like I say, it's in good shape. This is a speed increase release one about, you know, the dramatic speed increase, and there's a few other little niceties out of it as well. There's various different flavors of the command bar. There's tabbed bar, command bar, and ribbon bar. And all of them have their own, and then on top of that, each one of those have their own system menu type approach, their quick access areas, and the status bar as well. So basically, you've got quite a few different ways of presenting that data, all via these, you know, a mixture of the bars. And what we're doing is we're trying to wrap up each one of those, but still keeping it backwards compatible, just in case we have to push out the update and so on. What will happen is, well, actually, yeah, no, it's still fine. Still keeping it backwards compatible. In the test at the moment, I think the ribbon, which way around is it? Yeah, I think the ribbon is more or less done, and the command bar is got to be a good command bar / tabbed bar, because them two are very similar, are a good 60-70% done. So definitely within the next couple of days, with a bit of a concerted effort, I should get the beta out to you. Alex, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, sorry, your microphone's muted in the past. I didn't know if you just whether you muted. So yeah, so that's it. If that's okay with you, we shall start to wrap it up. Is there anything else from yourself?
No, that's all for now. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. Feel free, drop me an email to say how's that beta going, and that's the kind of time thing go on. So like I say, we're going to finish this up now. I'll start the video converting. I'm going to go and put the kettle on and make a cuppa, and in for a late night on the command bars. That's good. Gets it done.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Well, with that note, we are going to wrap up, and I'll see you all next week. So thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Have a good one, Andy. Thanks.
Bye.